Good morning. It's Rhoda. I'm eating an egg sandwich on the bread that I made the other day. Egg and cheese sandwich. It smells good. And some sugar-free hot chocolate. It's still hot chocolate. Sugar-free, but it'll be all right. I've been cutting out the caffeine. I know it's got a little chocolate has caffeine, but it's better than the coffee. At least that's what I tell myself. It's hot. I had a video prepared to upload today, and I'm not sure whether or not I want to upload it. I had visited Augusta, Kentucky. It was a rainy, dreary day, and I thought it's a perfect day to go driving along the Ohio River and visit Augusta. I haven't been there for about I guess since right before the pandemic hit. That's when we were there last. Was it going on 3 years now? Yeah. We used to go, the first time I went into there was with a neighbor. She has passed now, but a neighbor had taken us about 7 years ago, and we went to a restaurant slash inn. On certain nights of the week, they would have food or a buffet style dinner that you would go in and you would pay for, and they would have music and you'd have this dinner, and it was really lovely. I mean, it was just a nice setting, and it was called Parkview Country Inn. And you talk that place was haunted. It had a lot of spiritual activity in there. And she did not know anything about me on what I could see or hear. I didn't tell her until, I guess, about a year before she passed, of the things I could see and hear. And of course, there was these women in there, early 1800s, maybe. I don't think the building is that old. Well, at least I'm not sure. But she was in there, and she was very proper. She had her head a certain way, and she was just going around and make sure everybody's food was in order. And she was telling me how she didn't like a certain waitress or a certain help. So I just ignore it, because I don't want anybody I didn't want anybody to know that I could see or hear these. And there was several spirits going back and forth, and they're living their life in death, like the people weren't even there. I found that very interesting. But I've been looking for something called the old jailhouse, and I love the feel of Augusta. It's like, for me, graveyards are peaceful. A lot of them. There's very few that I've gone into that I cannot find peace. I don't even walk into too much stuff. I think I've said it in one of my videos or two of my videos, where I can go into, I could count maybe on one hand the number of cemeteries that I can go into them, but I refuse to go into them because I just don't want to deal with it. It's just chaotic, very chaotic, and it just does not do any good. No peace. But Augusta is like that. It's like walking into a huge cemetery. I could see the things coming and going in and out of homes, and a lot of those homes, I think the first one that was there was by a Captain Payne. He got a grant, I think, of 600 acres or something like that. And he started the place. Something just spilled over there. But he started the place Um, and he was against slavery. And I think his name was Captain Payne. And his establishment was back in the late 1700s, 1792 maybe. I could be wrong on that date. But I was filming all this, driving around, and I finally found the old jailhouse. And because I'm not uploading it, is because of what I've seen there. It doesn't correlate with the history that I could find after filming. I found out a lot of this stuff after I filmed the history, because I really never knew the history of Augusta. I knew the Clooneys are big in a lot of things, like Rosemary Clooney had a little house there, and they have it as a museum, which is George Clooney's aunt and Nick Clooney's sister. They had lived there in Augusta, the Clooneys, for a while, and I think they've all moved to California now. But their name is prominent in Augusta now on some of the buildings. But they've got like a little pub and ice cream shops and like a good little pizza place there. It seems like a quiet little community, and it's right along the Ohio River. A beautiful setting, and it's I couldn't find the jailhouse. I have looked for several years. My cousin Anitra had gone there with her some people she knew in her family, and visited it. And I always was interested in knowing where this was. So I finally found it, and I walk up to it. Maybe I'll include some of the footage of me walking up to it without the sound on here. That way you can see what the old jailhouse looks like, at least. But you have your few annoying spirits, it's like, hey, we know you're here. We know you can see, hear, feel us. And they're like knocking at you, tapping. It's like, yeah, I see, I hear you. There's nothing I could do for you. But I prayed for them, and I went back and did my thing, looking, and then went back to the vehicle because it was just uncomfortable. When I sit down in the vehicle and I look out at the property that the jailhouse is on, as I'm sitting there, I see something that I have never seen before. I seen about 30 nude people standing there with their hands bound and their feet shackled. Most of them were African American. There was a couple Native Americans in there too, also with African Americans, and they were being sold, which like I said, I didn't know the history of this until after I filmed. I know the old courthouse used to sit there because it says on this plaque in the video that the courthouse had burned. But it was like they had a platform built out there, and all these people were standing on it, and there were people with guns, a type of smooth club, and whips, like guarding around these people. And they were forcing the people to turn around. And they were different ages, from 2 years old up to into their 40s, 50s. These people that were bound. And I could see people coming and going in a market, and there were animals. They were selling animals along with the people they were selling to. And I started crying because I have never personally seen anything like that in a vision or witnessed that, on the land of the selling. I've seen slaves. I've seen the slave graves that have been where the black the African American people were standing out over an area, and I knew that that area was a slave burial ground, and it was off away from uh, the regular graveyard. It was like they had a family plot, and then like 100 yards away from the family plot was a slave plot. Um, I've seen that. I've seen where uh, there were shadows darting around of slaves that were still working on the farm or stuck and trying to get revenge against the owners of the land for what was done to them. I've seen that, but I've never seen, witnessed this. My family on my dad's side came to America, was escaping from slavery. But when they came to America, they were still enslaved to a hierarchy of people. And they were escaping because my three or four time great grandfather, I don't know if he'd already wed my grandmother or not, but when the men went to wed a woman, the woman was not allowed to marry pure. The Khazar, or the higher official of that area, would rape the woman first because she was not allowed to marry in a pure state. And of course, they were forced also to do work and not get paid for it. They were slaves. They was escaping and come to America for that. And even though they came across on the ship, they were still under the control of these people. Once they got into America, I know Grandpa he was barefoot, and he sold anything that he had. He was getting rid of, and him and Grandma finally somehow got out from under that. I don't know exact story of it. It's just things that went down through the history, and they got out from under slavery, and they were completely against slavery, completely against it. So to see the people out there in that courtyard being treated this way was very heartbreaking for me. And a lot of times I always ask God to show me the truth of the area because I want to know the truth. And it was like the land was showing, and they were kept telling me about the death tree, the death tree. And I could see the death tree in my head, but I couldn't see, and I didn't know where it was located, but it was not there. It was gone. And they were telling me about this death tree where many have died. And it was people of all colors that have died there. Some white, there was a few whites, there was some Native Americans that have died from that tree, and some African Americans that had died from that tree. But I couldn't see it. And I cannot find anything to back any of that vision up. So I didn't upload it. Where I am at, I don't have good cell signal. I might have 2 bars of upload signal, to upload, and it might take me up to 6 hours sometimes to upload a 7-minute video. Once I get off of our hill and out, maybe I can go 15 minutes out, it'll upload real quick. But it's just we're basically in like it's not completely dead zone. It's like a hit and miss zone of signal. I want to find out more information on this. Before I really include a lot of that video, and if I could find the truth of it, then I will upload that video. Sorry, I'm still dealing with COVID cough. But the community of Augusta and that little area is so beautiful. the homes, and everything. And in the areas where I live, if a lot of history is erased in some towns because they don't want to bring that past up. I don't personally know if this is the cause of this. I Because a lot of these little areas, if you bring up the past, um, it can be very rough on you. Small towns like for the good to be good and for the bad to disappear. They don't want to bring up the bad on anybody. Let the past go. All is forgiven. Go and move forward from that. And a lot has changed for the community. And from my understanding, that community was started to be against slavery, and it was one of the main areas where slaves would escape to or go to become free to go into Ohio, as long as they weren't caught when they crossed the river, because they had first few people that would stand across the river and wait for the slaves to cross, and they would capture them and bring them back because they knew that they were escaping to that area. And most of them, from my understanding, that came back were trying to gather the family up to go back to freedom. And that's when they were captured and sent to prison. I think Louisville to prison. And I am rambling like crazy here. I know this is crazy on how I see and hear things. But some things I like to share with you all. I'm not, like I say in a lot of my videos, I'm not all about cooking and different things. This is a part of me. And I do help a lot of people. A lot of people come to me asking for help that don't know how to get help because they can see and hear things that they don't understand. And they can't figure out a way to find peace. They can't find peace here. And to find peace in your mind is so hard sometimes when you have so much going on around you. So I show them what I do to find, I say my little prayer. Once I seen all that, and I said, God, be with them. And cleanse this land. I pray that you forgive those, that had done this. Cleanse this land and let all be well. It all disappeared. I didn't see the vision no more. But that's what I have to do. Once I tell people what I do, it's up to them on how they do it. They can follow what I done, but everybody is different. I know I do things way different than what I call professionals into this field. I am not a professional. Will never consider myself a professional. I will always consider myself the vessel, because I feel I work where God leads me, and some things just come at me and I deal with it as I go. But I'm always there to help people. And I feel that's my calling, is to help people. And I've had a lot of people come to me wanting help, from helping children to helping older people that have fought with these things all their life and not knowing what to do and afraid to open up to people because they are saved people. And they're afraid to open up because they were always told that that was a demonic part. But God gives us gifts for a reason. I think he gave me this gift so I can see what's going on with other people, because it's a spiritual world that is attacking us. And if you believe in God, you're believing in a spirit. You're believing in the spirit. You're believing in something that you cannot see or feel. Literally with your fingers, And it's not just him out there. It's so much. It's layers. It's like an onion. There's different layers, different levels of spiritual activity. And I feel it is my calling to help people to get past that, so they can allow themselves to love Jesus and allow Jesus to love them even more, and to help people to see what is ailing them and help them to cut the ties off of them so they can continue in their life without having this attachment of something from somewhere they've been that they shouldn't have been. And I am rambling Rhoda today. I tell you, I am rambling. Lord have mercy. And my sandwich is cold. That's what I get for talking so much. I'm going to have to put in a mic. But when I find the truth of this, I will upload the video then. And I pray that you all have a blessed day. God bless you all. And if you all stuck out to the end here and watched this, thank you. Because I know a lot don't. And I appreciate you. Until next time, God bless you.